And we are here. And you know what? There is one thing keeping Avatar Fire and Ash from truly being a great film. Maybe two. But we'll get to that in a minute. Welcome to Flick Filter. I am a coach. If you're joining for the first time, this is a movie review on Avatar Fire and Ash. And if you've been here before, you may be wondering, where is Diesel? Where is he? Well, we've been having some inclement weather in the area, so he was unable to join us today. However, he will be back very soon. Um, but yeah, y'all just got me for the day for this solo review on honestly one of the biggest movies of 2025, um, being Avatar Fire and Ash. Um, yeah, it's one of the biggest movies, and yet it's like I feel like people aren't really talking about it that much. There's that ongoing meme, people saying like, "Oh, Avatar has no cultural footprint," which I used to say that myself, honestly, before it became a whole thing. But I digress. I really am interested in talking about this film more so than any of the previous Avatar movies, because while this has very highs, there are a couple major issues that I had with the film. Um, of course, visually stunning. Um, James Cameron, he always brings you into his world. Um, it's like you're literally transported into this universe. Um, Fully immersive, of course. Um, every movie kind of feels bigger than the previous one. Um, there's no exception with Fire and Ash. Um, Truly a wonderful spectacle, great action, very high emotional drama. Um, but the thing that keeps the movie from being great for me is how it handles its villain, um, particularly um, Varaang. She gets introduced in this movie, and she, to me, should be the greatest antagonist that we've had in these movies, because she, for one, is Navi. She's a Navi. She has this very strong physical presence. She is highly motivated, dangerous, all these things. And the movie doesn't try to do this thing to redeem her either. But she also is this interesting foil with Natiri as well. Um, so the thing that's holding her back isn't her per se, but just how she is positioned in the movie. Because um, going into the movie, and I haven't even gone into the plot itself, which I will a little bit in a minute. I don't want to um, spoil everything, because this is a 3.5 almost hour movie. Um, but when Varang gets introduced, she she has her own motivations. She's not even really messing with the colonel, for real. She's just wrecking havoc as soon as she and her people enter the screen. And I thought that, man, it's like, okay, we got this really powerful villain here. um, but something that happens midway is that she kind of takes a back seat to the colonel. It's like once they join forces, and I should say spoiler alert um, for this movie. If you're still here, but once they join forces, it's like she takes a back seat to what he wants to do as far as him going against Jake Sully. And for me, it didn't. I guess in my mind, it's like, why would you join forces with essentially the colonizer in the film? Like, um, I get that she has this animosity towards other Navi, but it's like her joining forces with the human. Well, Quaritch really isn't human at this point, but um, yeah, it just really did not make sense in my mind. Fully make sense for that, but also just from a narrative standpoint, like I feel like what was promised was this really cool antagonist in Varaang, and Una Chaplin, she does a great job portraying her. It's nothing against her um, as an actress, but it's more so just how she's written as like this very dominant force initially, and then it's like I get that she kind of respects the colonel because he's not intimidated by her. So it's like, okay, I want to, she wants to join forces with him, but it's like I felt like it would have been more interesting if she was still the primary antagonist. She definitely felt more secondary. She played a more secondary role once they um, got together. So I don't want to repeat that a little too much, but that was kind of a big issue I had with her. Um, just the way she was utilized. But shout out to Una Chaplin. She, I don't know if many people know this, but she also played Robb Stark's wife in Game of Thrones. So, shout out to her. Shout out to everybody as far as the actors in the movie. I felt like everyone did a great job. I'm gonna get into a few other characters in a moment, but um, yeah, just something I noticed as well. So the movie repeats a lot of emotional beats um, for me. Like there's definitely a pacing issue that I noticed throughout the movie, where it's like you have these really emotional highs, and it's like, man, this feels like we're at the climax, and then it's like, nope, we still got 2 hours of the movie left. And I get that James Cameron is really involved with this world, like he wants us to be in Pandora. I get that, but it's like where I feel like The Way of Water, it put me into the world, but it felt like it's like okay, I'm here. I'm dwelling amongst these characters. It didn't feel as repetitive. It with The Way of Water, like I felt like it was a different movie from the first Avatar. It expanded the world. It opened up the world. You have Jake Sully's, we got his kids now, and it feels like there's even more stakes because of that. And then um, him losing his oldest son at the end, it's like, okay, there's really some stakes here. And then going into Fire and Ash, you have, um, them dealing with the loss of that son. And they deal with that very early. Like, that's something that comes up very early in the film. And I think that's a good thing. Um, However, again, there are just certain things that felt like were very repetitive throughout the movie. And I love the spectacle of it, but just the repetitive nature, it definitely felt like this was uh, The Way of Water Part 2. Like, I feel like The Way of Water could almost stand on its own as its own movie, whereas Fire and Ash, it really can't. And yes, each movie builds on itself. Like, technically, you couldn't have The Way of Water without the first Avatar, but in a way, it still felt like its own individual body of work. Whereas Fire and Ash did feel like the second part of Fire and Ash. Um, or sorry, the fire and ash felt like the second part, the way of water. So um, there was that. There was that issue. Something else was going back to Natiri. I felt like her feelings, she kind of was invalidated as far as just her animosity towards the colonizers. And yes, I felt like maybe her being, her taking her anger out at Spider, um, maybe that wasn't the best thing, but I still feel like her feelings were validated. Like she did lose her son, and it shouldn't have happened. Um, and yeah, Spider probably at the time it was like okay, when the movie started, he definitely like wouldn't have survived without you know a lot had to happen for him to basically you know be able to dwell amongst them without having the mask thing. I'm getting to a lot of unnecessary details, but um, overall, it just felt like she was positioned as she was in the wrong and Jake was in the right. Where it's like, no, actually, she's got like she kind of has a point. Y'all need to hear her out. Um, and at the end of the day, Jake still is a colonizer too. Um, so that's going to go into one of my other points, but um, yeah, there's just a lot of Spider as well in this movie. Like I don't know if I was expecting that much, and I was kind of iffy on Spider as a character. I felt like there was a lot of development in him. Not that he was a bad character. It was just like I don't know if he was a necessary character to such a degree the way like he's used where Jake he's got all these kids well technically he's got like four kids, three are or biologically his, and then Kiri's like kind of like a half step, like a stepchild, but really his. It's I don't know. It's man, there's just a lot going on with this movie. Um, I do feel like it is cool that uh, Loak he has his own arc. He's very connected to the Tolakan. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. I like his whole journey. I kind of want a movie that primarily focuses on him. Um, but it's like each time we, this is my other issue. It just is like the Jake, Sully, and Quaritch show. It's like they're Jake and the Colonel. They're gonna be chasing each other for half the movie, and here's this joke where it's like, okay, we're gonna they chase each other for the whole movie. It's like, all right, see you next time. It's like, man, can we just do something different? There's this whole world to explore, and you just keep repeating these same things. You introduce new villains, but it's like, nope, still gonna have Jake and the Colonel going at it the whole movie. Um, and so, uh, and with them going at it, so this is something that really surprised me. Um, and I kind of like this choice, even though I don't know how I feel about them not going through it. I'm on the other side of. I'm glad they didn't do this, but there was a point where Jake was about to like. You may want to skip this if you haven't seen it, but Jake was gonna essentially unalive Spider, and I was like, man, is he really about to do this? Because it was like, hey, with Spider being around, they weren't like the Colonel was going to keep coming after him because they were essentially going to use him in order to essentially like fully colonize Pandora. Like they had they because he was able to finally be able to breathe without having his oxygen tank thing. They're like, oh, we're going to use him so that all these people can essentially become like that. They can become like him. And yeah, not just him, Jake taking him out. It would have. I felt like it would have left a bad taste in the in everybody who's a big fan of these movies who are rooting for him. So it probably wasn't. It probably was good that they didn't do that. But it also, I don't know. In that scene, it made me think about um, Abraham and Isaac. And I was not planning on making a biblical analogy, but it definitely made me think of that um, when Abraham was about to sacrifice his son. So that's the whole thing. But yeah. And speaking of the colonization thing, I felt like it shouldn't be this way. But leaving the movie, I'm like, this movie kind of feels pro colonization in a way. Like they've really integrated a lot of these non-native characters into Pandora. Like they're like fully like, okay, we're Navi now, and I'm like, oh man, I guess y'all are appreciating the culture. I guess I don't know if it is a cultural appropriation. Y'all do have certain white characters voicing these Navi who are very much brown or black people. Um, yeah, it does feel a little problematic. I don't know if like I'm just too radicalized at this point or anything, but yeah, um, I need to know what y'all think about this movie for real. I felt like I've more so complained about it, but I did enjoy it as a spectacle. Um, is it something I will revisit? I don't know. I still like The Way of Water more. I feel like that was actually the best of the three movies so far. Um, but yeah, I don't know if there's man. This movie was 3 hours long, 3.5 hours long, and yeah, whew, yeah. I don't know. I don't know. It's yeah, man. I don't know. It's like to James Cameron, and he's probably never gonna see this, but you can't. I don't know if you can really claim to be anti-colonization, and I don't know if he's ever explicitly said that, but I don't know if you can claim that with while making the movie centering the colonizer. Like every movie has to center Jake Sully, even though he's a good person, like a good character. You know, he's trying to be a good dad and everything. Um, but to me, the movies should focus more on Neytiri. And I think if you ask the audience, people are mostly fans of Neytiri. Like she has way more fans than Jake Sully. Um, and so I would hope in future installments, because of course they're going to make another one. It'll probably be a few years, but when they inevitably make more movies, I feel like they need to kind of move on from Jake Sully as the primary focus. I'm not saying they gotta like just get rid of him, but I mean if they did, I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be like fully upset because I do feel like they're just other characters they can explore way more. Like there are way more interesting characters in this world than Jake. Like we learn about all these people through Jake. And I get it, the movie's literally called Avatar. Like, so he is the human avatar into this world. I get it. But this one, we got like multiple avatars, really. Um, so, yeah, don't want to ramble too much, but if y'all haven't seen it by now, go check it out and let me know what you think. Um, yeah, I think just going back to the Varaang thing, if she could have been fully developed and the conflict was driven through her, it could have been embodied. Like it could have she the movie could have embodied resistance to colonization in a meaningful way, like her doing things her own way. I think that would have been really cool because it's like in her backstory, she prayed to Awa, like Awa was her god, and she didn't get the prayers answered. I'm like, wow, that's really interesting. But yeah, we got what we got. So we'll see. You know what happens in future installments. But until then, y'all be safe out here. And like, subscribe, share, and let me know what y'all think about this film in the comments.